Hello and welcome to this episode of the Print on Demand Playbook podcast. I'm your host, Adrian Von Arx, here with my co-host, Kara Egler. And in today's episode, we are continuing on our part 2 of tools that we recommend for print on demand businesses in 2023. In the first episode, we talked about so many things: e-commerce platforms, print on demand companies, design creation tools, and design elements. In this episode, we are finishing up. We've got 5 more categories that we are going to speak on. And I think you're going to want to hear what we have to say about these, because we talk about the good, we talk about the bad, we talk about a little bit of everything, and we give lots of great recommendations that we use and love ourselves. But real quick, before we begin, if you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to the podcast. And with that, let's jump in.
Adrian, what's going on, my friend?
Dude, I am doing well, man. I am doing well. Just had a family visit for the weekend, coming down from the Vancouver area. So they were loving the weather. We had a lot of fun. We spent a lot of time outdoors.
Awesome.
And yeah, man, it's like this was one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to become an entrepreneur and have freedom of time and location, because I wanted to spend more time with my family. And it's extra cool because 2 of my big whys were to spend more time with my family, and the other one was to employ my family. And my brother, Carlos, who you know very well, and business partner, I've been able to employ him, and he has the same freedom and flexibility as me. So it's super cool because he's in Tempe, I'm in Scottsdale, and one of my brothers came down from the Vancouver area, and we were both able to take off like 4 days to spend with them and just hang out and not have to worry about, like when we would be available and whatnot. We were essentially on call for the last 4 days.
That's awesome, dude.
And so it was just cool, man. It's like, this is why this was one of my biggest reasons for wanting to become an entrepreneur. So every time I have family in town, it just reminds me like why I do this. How about yourself?
So cool. Man, I'm great. Calvin's starting baseball, so we've been just like, going with that. We had like kind of like he's in first grade, but we had kind of like a tryout last week. It's almost like you try out in first grade. I don't think it was really a tryout, but they had everybody come and like kind of show off your skills, kind of see where everybody's at, which was interesting. So he's starting baseball season. This is his second year playing. I think they're getting rid of the T this year, so it's just like coach pitch. So that's good. So that's going to be exciting.
That's a big change.
Yeah, but other than that, man, I love what you said there, and we've been putting together some upcoming presentations for an event we're doing, and I keep thinking about those 2 impact lanes, your personal with your family and the things you want to do, and then also in your brand and I know you guys probably don't know what we're talking about, but man, this is good stuff. I'm thinking about that. Just creating a movement in 2 different ways, in your family and also in your brand, and being able to impact others. That's why I got into this too. And so it's always awesome to just take a day off, or spend time with the ones you love, and it makes me always really honored and humbled to be an entrepreneur.
Totally, man.
That. So
anytime my family's in town, I take them. What's that?
I was just saying, being able to be at like Calvin's games and his practices and all the different things, like it's awesome.
It's special, man. It's special and it's rare. Unfortunately, not many people have that opportunity, and it's really unfortunate missing out on maybe some of the most special, times of your family's lives, or, your children growing up, missing up on some of their very special events and whatnot. So my goal is never to miss anything with my family. What's that?
It's becoming more common. It's becoming more common.
Good.
With the internet is making it so much opportunity. So I'm excited.
Yeah, man, I want to see it become more common. I think it's an amazing thing. And I think a lot of people want the same thing, man, a lot of people want to spend more time with their family and be there for them anytime they need. And I feel so lucky that in the drop of a dime, I can be on a plane into my family when they need me. That's like very special and important to me. I didn't always have that. I did not always have that. I actually remember a time real quickly. This was it's kind of a emotional story, but like really briefly, I was working in real estate sales up in Vancouver, and I was actually doing an open house, and I got word that my grandmother had just had a massive heart attack, and I couldn't leave the open house. I had to stay there until I could contact my business partner and tell him what happened. And then eventually when I did get a hold of him, he was like, just end the open house, like kick everyone out, close it, and like go be with your grandma. And she was a ferry ride away. She was on Vancouver Island. I was in Vancouver. So like I had to like take everything, like go home, grab all my things, and then finally go over to Vancouver Island to be with her. And unfortunately, that was the last time I ever saw her.
Wow.
And she never came out of a coma. So it was kind of like almost like a regrettable situation in a sense. But I never want anything like that to ever happen again. Like I'm there for my family, ride or die. Like on a dime now, I can literally I work from home, man. I can literally pack a bag and be on a plane like in a couple hours.
Dude, what a story. That's intense.
Yeah, it is intense, man. It's hard to talk about.
That puts it in perspective, though. Man, we're getting deep. We're getting deep at the beginning of this.
Right out of the gate, man. Right out of the gate.
But that puts it in perspective. Like, man, it doesn't. We say a lot of buzzy things like, oh, freedom and time freedom and all those things. But it's like when you actually put it in perspective, it's like, can you be there for the ones you love when they need you? And for a lot of people, that answer is no. I was similar in that when I worked in retail, working as a retail manager, like I was working 1 million hours a week, couldn't leave, you got customers, you got teams counting on you, all the things. Like it's the same thing. Like my wife calls and something's going on with the kids or whatever. Like I couldn't just pick up and leave that quickly, Right. And so we're both really thankful to have that ability, which is awesome.
Yeah. I mean, if anything like that happened again, I would take my laptop and I would just work from wherever they were for as long as they needed me, because I had to come back for work. I couldn't even be there for my family as long as I wanted to. I was able to take some time off, but I would have liked to spend more time with my family. And now I can take my laptop there. All I need is internet connection and I'm good to go. I can work from there for as long as I need. If I take a month off to be with my family, I'll take a month off to be with my family. No problem. And that's just kind of like one of the many, many benefits of, being your own boss.
And to transition into this episode, that's why we do what we do, though. That's why we are so passionate about helping others create an income through an online apparel business, because it's done such amazing things for our life. So we're very thankful, very humbled, but that's literally why we have this podcast and why we have our programs, why we put out content, is to help you learn how to do the same thing and hopefully shortcut that path, relieve some of the stress, remove some of the roadblocks, help you make more impact, make more money so that you can make more impact, with your business. So
100%.
I'm excited. Adrian, this is part 2. We're in a part 2.
Go.
Part 2. We couldn't make it all in part 1. We failed. But if you want to listen to part 1, go back to episode 13. That's the last episode. It's tools and software that we recommend for print-on-demand businesses in 2023. A super duper short recap is we covered 4 different categories in episode 1, which was e-commerce platforms, print-on-demand companies, design creation tools, and design element tools. And so this one, we're diving into 5 more categories. The first one being mockups. So this is number 5. Go back and get the first 4 in the last episode. But we're starting off today with our favorite mockup tools and softwares and different things. So you want to kick it off with the first one?
Yeah, man, let's kick it off. And I think this is one that everyone knows. This is like the big fish, and that is Placeit. Placeit is an awesome mockup generation tool. They actually have so much more than that, but I'm not even gonna go there, because they've got AI now, they've got logo creation, they've got so many other things, and they're always bringing more. But in terms of mockups, they actually claim to have the largest collection of mockups on the internet, which I totally believe, because they have an insane amount. But not only that, what I love about them is they're always dropping new ones.
They are.
And they're always dropping new ones, and then they're kind of they're on top of things right now, video content is really big, and they have video mockups. How cool is that? Most people, it's hard to get video mockups. They are becoming more common. I'm actually starting to see them on Etsy now, which is really interesting. I used to only see, still image mockups, but I just love how Placeit is kind of always on the cutting edge. They have AI now, and, they have mockups, designs, videos, logos, and so much more. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, just to put it in perspective, I'm just looking at Placeit right now. I went to apparel just to see how many mockups kind of were there. So each page has approximately 50 mockups on it, 40 to 50 mockups. There's 1,260 pages of mockups. I mean, do the math.
Yeah.
Add the 4, 9 over 3. No, I'm just kidding. There's like,
is that all the styles combined?
What's that?
Is that all the styles combined?
Yeah. Like I went to apparel, and so I'm looking at the very last page right now, and it's still apparel mockups, which I was like, these are all apparel mockups. And there's like 1,260 pages. It looks like there's a few sprinkled in there. Maybe like there's a couple mugs and different things, but most of them look like they're apparel. But it literally is because like I started using them, 6+ years ago. I was really early to place it, I think, because at the time it was not as amazing as it is now, but it was amazing because they had those mock-ups that you could put on real people. And I remember it was like, man, there's only so many in here, right? And it's like they just keep adding more over the years, and that's how they've got to this impressive catalog of just 1 billion mock-ups. And I also just wanted to add, if you don't know what Place It is, just to be super clear, the main thing we're talking about is that you can create real mock-ups of people wearing your products, not just t-shirts. They've got hoodies and tank tops and sweatshirts. And mugs. And I mean, like they're adding so many things. Bags.
Totes, everything, man.
So these are like real, like lifestyle mock-ups. Like imagine if me right here, you could just instead of this Thunder tee, you could just drop on your t-shirt on me with the power of technology. And then you know what I mean? That's what you're doing with Place It, is like dropping your design on someone's body and then getting this in real time, this real mock-up. It's pretty impressive to see if you've never seen it. And it's probably I would say Canva probably the most used tool. It's up there, top 2 or 3 most used tool, just in print on demand in general. It's like,
it's so popular and it's so cheap. It is so affordable. Like the amount,
$7 a month, something like that.
Yeah, it's something like $7 a month, and man, I use it so much. Like other people should be too. I've actually had 6-figure creatives that came from Place It. Like I took a Place It model, a lifestyle image, I threw my design on there, I ran Facebook and Instagram ads and made 6 figures in sales from that creative.
Wow.
Like not everyone is going to be good. Not everyone is going to be good for creators. And we talked about this in a past episode where, not all Place It mockups are great for, using to sell your products, because sometimes the models are on their side or they're turned to the side. Sometimes they're far away. Sometimes, it's like their shirt is going over part of the design. There's lots of different things, but there are so many good ones in there. And like, if I've had success creating 6-figure creatives from from Place It mockups, clearly lots of other people have too.
Absolutely.
So highly recommend that one. And I really can't say enough good things about it. I use it all the time. I've been using it about as much as you have, Carrie. And like same thing. It was like the first tool that I ever found that created photorealistic mockups. Before that, I was just using like the print on demand mockups, which are pretty terrible in my opinion.
Most time, yeah.
And most of them are pretty terrible in my opinion. And using Place It was a game changer. So it still can be a game changer. But there are a couple more cool places now that you can go and find mockups. So why don't we jump to the next one?
The next one on the list is Etsy. Now you might be thinking Etsy, not a place for mockups. They actually have some awesome mockups. So
amazing.
I really like on Etsy a couple things. Number one, you can find a lot of times the exact model of t-shirt that you sell. You can find different mockups of that exact t-shirt. Really, really nice, high quality mockups. The second thing I really like is for a outfit type settings. So you can find a mockup that maybe has like some jeans and some shoes with it and kind of fits your ideal customer's style. That's really cool. Another thing about Etsy is the mockups are really inexpensive. They're very, very inexpensive. Sometimes you can pay 99 cents, $2, $3, and you can get some really solid mockups. The only drawback that I would say is, and you might have some more drawbacks because I think we talked about this earlier about some of the drawbacks, but the biggest drawback is that I lost my train of thought. I was going to say something. Oh,
I can throw in some drawbacks.
no,
Okay, go ahead.
I remember.
Okay.
It's that it's you can't like you're literally just placing your design on top.
Yeah.
So like you buy this picture and you just place your design on top. It's not like a Photoshop file. It's not like a layered file. You're literally just buying a photo of a mock-up and you're just going, boop, psh. So it doesn't always, it's not always perfect as far as laying your design on there. Whereas like with Place It, it's going to like make the design curve with the t-shirt and the body and it's going to fit perfectly. This is just like flat. So, but most of the mock-ups on Etsy are flat lays. So they work nicely. But I would say that's a small drawback. They're not super flexible.
Yeah, I have not seen any photorealistic mock-ups on Etsy where they'll actually distort the design like Place It does. So that is definitely a drawback. I mean, I will start by saying this. Etsy is my absolute favorite place to get mock-ups. I think they have the best lifestyle mock-ups, especially if you're targeting women.
Yeah.
I don't think their male mock-ups are that good. I just don't think they have a huge selection. But if you're targeting females, man, they've like just an endless number of mock-ups, and you can sort by, you know, gender, race, like color of like style of clothing. There's so many things that you can sort by, and you can find great lifestyle mock-ups. So yeah, it's hands down my favorite place to get mock-ups. The downside is that some mock-ups can look amazing when you put a design on them because it's almost like the photographer knew like how to make it perfect for print-on-demand sellers.
Yeah.
And then others, it's like the photographer kind of missed the memo on how to make it perfect. Like it might have a lot of folds in it, and then your design goes over the folds and it looks a little funky. Like it looks pretty unrealistic.
Yeah, or if they're just turned at all. It's like, how do you turn your image digitally? It's kind of like
it's so hard to work with those ones where they're turned. Like there's definitely like a recipe, in my opinion, for like the ideal mock-up. And it's always centered. It's always, you know, the design is always the hero. Like there's a lot of space for the design to be the hero. There's not folds in the clothing, which you can actually smooth out the folds in Photoshop. FYI, I do it all the time. Like literally I take Etsy mock-ups and I clean them up, man. I go in, if there's like lint on the shirt, I'll just like use the what's like the magic eraser
like
thing.
The clone stamp is one I always use. I always use the clone stamp.
I forget the name of it, but I use this tool and it literally just gets rid of it with one click. And then I go and I smooth out like the wrinkles and stuff. But there are some that are just, you can't work with them. Like, I mean, you can technically, because in Photoshop, you can actually distort the design. So if you really want
you're
it
really
to
good, you have to be good at it though. It's like
you have to be good. I have no clue how to do it. So I never do it. And I don't want to learn, man. Like Photoshop's like another language. So you could hire someone on Fiverr to do it if you really wanted. But honestly, like if they're turned to the side, that's kind of a conversion killer in my opinion. I wouldn't want a model wearing my design turned to the side. I want it front and center. Yeah. And so, those are, there's a lot of pros. There's a couple cons. I do think I think they're well priced. A lot of them are like $3, maybe $3 to $5. Yeah. And a lot of sellers do promos, like ongoing promos where it's like, oh, buy 2, get 1 free, or buy 5, save 50%, something like that. I also like how you can buy bundles. Some sellers, they'll have like their entire catalog of mockups and you can just buy it as a bundle. But compared to Place It, I would say it is pretty pricey. So that's kind of all I have to say about Etsy. It is my favorite place. I highly recommend it, but just be careful with the mockups that you get from there.
Yes. This next one on the list is Smart Mockups. I'm going to let you take this one because I really don't know that. I know about them. Sure. I've like used them briefly, but I've never really like used them consistently. Yeah. But I think the last time I looked at them, it seemed like they didn't have a lot of mock-ups, but now that I'm looking at it again, I'm like, oh man. So I'd love to know from your perspective, if you've used them, you know, a little bit more than me, if you know, like, have they added a lot? Are they good?
Yeah, so I have used them. I used to have a paid plan and I had a 6-figure ad creative using one of their mock-ups. Nice. And then I found out that it was offered for free on their free plan. So I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna like ditch my paid plan because they don't have nearly as big of a selection as Place It. I still think they have awesome mockups, but it's just so much smaller of a selection. So if I had to choose one, I would choose Place It because they have exponentially more.
When you put the design on there, does it look as good as Place It?
Yes.
Okay. I'm
Yeah,
looking
it's
at some of their like
photorealistic.
examples, and it's like they put the example designs in really odd places, which is kind of weird.
Oh, really?
Like I'm just looking at I'm looking at the apparel mock-ups, and like all of them, the design is like way down low, pretty much all of
What?
them. And then some of them, it's like on the side. I'm like, why would you put your example
dude.
there?
That is not a good like impression for their brand. But yes, you can make, they do look photorealistic like Place It. They're essentially just like Place It, but significantly smaller library.
I'm glad
But
there's a competitor. I'm glad there's a competitor because
Me
I
too.
feel like Places just dominated the market for so
Yeah.
long.
Well, dude, what's interesting is I actually noticed that some of the exact same mockups were on both Place It and Smart Mockups.
Are you serious?
And then I noticed that a lot of them disappeared from one of the platforms. Like there was one that I was using in Place It, and then I saw it in Smart Mockups, and then it was no longer available in Place It. And I'm like, are these models like making deals with the platforms? I don't know how it's working, but it was like
Maybe
no
so.
longer available. So I have no clue what's up with that. But what I will say is Place It and Smart Mockups both have free mockups that you can use. So if you don't want to pay for a plan and you just want to test them out, try out the free ones. Like I said, I've got a 6-figure ad creative that's still our number one selling product right now, and it's a Smart Mockup. It sounds funny
Nice.
to say, but yeah, from the free plan. It's free. You don't even need a plan. You can just like use it. So I do recommend them, but if I had to choose between the two, I'd choose Place It in terms of like variety. They're also coming out with a lot faster.
That's got to be their number one competitor.
Oh, totally. Like
sure.
you mean Place It's got to be Smart Mockup's number one competitor?
Or vice versa. Either way.
Or vice versa. Okay, yeah. I
Place It
definitely
does
Smart
way.
Mockups.
Seems like Place It does way more for less too, because they're a little bit lower price, but then you get all the social media. I don't know if that's in Smart Mockups, but all the social media stuff, the logo creator, the designer, the video stuff. I mean, like there's a lot of stuff in Place It. There's thousands of t-shirt designs that you can use and customize and all that stuff. So
yeah, it's crazy. Smart Mockups is definitely like, I've only ever used it for mockups, but I don't believe that it has nearly as much as Place It in terms of other features and functionality. But I do think it is improving, but it's still like Place It's improving so fast that it's hard to even get close to catching up. So
the last one we've got on the list here. The last one we've got on the list here is Creative Market, and this is one that is a little more premium. You're basically, what Creative Market is it's like a marketplace. You can go on and you can search for different design elements. Did we talk about this one in the previous? I did have this on the list in the design elements category, but I don't remember if we talked about it or not. But it's basically a big marketplace for design, creative stuff. I mean, fonts, anything.
Fonts, yeah.
They have, so what you're going to get on Creative Market is you're going to get very high quality. They're going to be very editable, if that makes sense. Like, for instance, I just pulled it up right now. I'm looking at a sweatpants mock-up, and it's like the pants are more like curved and different things. Like there's more. And so you'll get like maybe a Photoshop file that has multiple layers where you can change the color to your exact color, and you can lay your design on there, and it's going to really, really fit it super nicely. So I think Creative Market, if you were looking for like the highest quality digital mockup that was extremely customizable, that is probably even going to be, if you compare it to something like Place It, it might even be more realistic than Place It. You're definitely going to pay for that. It's going to be a little bit more premium price, but they're just really nice, high quality, high end, customizable mockups.
Yeah. I love Creative Market. Yes, the
awesome.
price is a bit of a barrier, especially if you're new and you're trying to keep your expenses really low. But man, I've got some awesome mockups from Creative Market.
They're very nice.
Like you said, unlike Etsy, where usually you get a JPEG, with Creative Market, they'll give you Photoshop. And like, I got a bundle of a bunch of Bella Canvas styles where they like included all the colors for all the different Bella Canvas 3001 colors and they had different kind of style layouts. You could change the shading, you could make the wrinkles more apparent or more smooth. There's just so much you can do with it. And I love Creative Market. I don't use it as much because it's more expensive than like an Etsy, and they don't have like a program like Place It, like an all-inclusive. I think you can maybe buy credits or there is some like option, but Place It is just everything for like $7 or $8 a month.
So like a scenario where you might want to go with, let's say, Creative Market or Etsy, but probably Creative Market over like Place It would be one example I can think of. There are some people who they'd say, I want the exact t-shirt model on the mockups, the exact t-shirt. So like when you go to Place It, it's not like you can go, I want a Gildan blah, 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 or I want to, American Apparel or whatever. So when you go out to Creative Market, you can actually find mockups where the model is actually wearing that t-shirt, right? So like I'm looking at one right now. I'm not saying this is a good deal because it's actually not a very good deal, but it's $24 and it's like a guy, it's a front and a back. It's two templates and it's a guy actually wearing it in this, in this kind of fall looking setting. He's wearing the t-shirt, and again, it's going to be really high end, Photoshop, all that kind of stuff. You can customize the color, you can adjust the things. It was $24, you get two mock-ups.
Yeah.
So it's going to be the exact t-shirt, right? It's going to be that exact t-shirt. It's probably going to come with all the color profiles that match the Bella Canvas catalog. So it's like, oh, I want heather blue, or I want, slate gray, or whatever it's called. Like, so it's going to be really nice, but there is also a little bit of a learning curve. Sometimes I've bought the Photoshop mockups and then went into Photoshop and I'm like, I can't figure this out.
Yeah.
So they can be a little bit difficult to work with.
Yeah, no, I agree. I've also experienced that before, and I spent like an hour trying to figure out how to do like the tiniest little thing. But I still use them, and if you can figure it out, it's worth it in a lot of cases. Etsy does also I like that about Etsy too. You can search by like the style. You can be like, oh, Gildan 64,000 or Bella Canvas 3001, and there will be a ton of that actual product, that actual style. So, awesome. Well, why don't we jump onto the next one? Dude, we're only one in. Can you believe this? This always happens. We can just talk forever. I feel like we could talk for like another half an hour just on this topic, but we'll move along to number 6.
If we didn't talk about like our whole life at the beginning of this podcast,
yeah, that's true.
We're going to get comments. People are going to be like, get to the good stuff. We don't care. We don't care about Vancouver.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Yeah, man. Oh, well.
That's why we started a podcast, dude, so we could just talk about random stuff.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. We started this podcast to bring you value, but we do like to chit chat and catch up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's jump into number 6 on tools we recommend for POD businesses in 2023. I felt like I had to restate the topic just to remind everyone, because we just talked so much on mockups. But the next tool we are talking about is email marketing. And I have a personal favorite, one that I've used and loved for multiple years. So maybe I'll start with that. And then Carrie, you feel free to jump in or share any of your personal favorites. But the one I'm referring to is Klaviyo. I really like Klaviyo. I feel like they are the most cutting edge when it comes to email marketing for e-commerce brands. That's really their bread and butter. And I love that they're built around e-commerce. So they think about us, the e-commerce sellers first, as opposed to a lot of other email solutions which had a totally different focus, or maybe they still do, but they have like an e-commerce component or something like that. So I noticed that like a lot of the new features that come out with Klaviyo, they're kind of e-commerce first, in my opinion. Most of the ones I see. So for anyone who doesn't know, they're really just a marketing automation platform for email and SMS. They started as email, now they do SMS. You can use both. I actually don't use their SMS right now. I use a different one, which we'll talk about in a sec. But I really like a lot of things about Klaviyo. I love their template library. So they have all these automated emails that are literally available for you in a library that you can just activate, and they're pre-made for you. So what I generally recommend is starting with a template just to get like that MVP, that minimal viable product up and running for your email. Like if you're running ads, you need to have an email capture. You are paying to collect emails because most people aren't going to buy the first time they see that ad. So it's on you to collect their email and remarket to them. And this is what I love about Klaviyo. If you want to get a welcome series or a like abandoned cart email template or something, you can just activate that and then you can improve. I like the implement and improve method. So first implement an MVP, then improve on it. But if you don't have time, at least you can implement it and just let it do its thing. And then when you do have time, you can go back, but at least you have something that's working for you and it's already pre-made. I love that. I didn't know any solutions that had template libraries when I first started, and every single one we had to do from scratch. So this was like a game changer for me personally. There's a lot of other great features in it too, but that's one of my personal favorites.
Yeah, man, you said it. Klaviyo was the first email that I ever used. I switched a few times. But I love Klaviyo. It would be my preferred as well. I recommend it inside Shirt School. You said it perfectly. It's the cutting edge email software. One thing I would mention is that it's somewhat recently. Actually, let me see when this. Okay, last fall. So in August, Shopify and Klaviyo announced a partnership, and my guess is Shopify probably took some kind of ownership stake in Klaviyo or maybe invested some money. That's my guess. It doesn't directly say that, but it says that they announced a strategic partnership, Shopify and Klaviyo. And there's some cool stuff in there. It's basically, it's deeper integration of Klaviyo into Shopify. And so like, I would just say if you're using Shopify, there's no closer relationship with an email platform. Nothing that's going to work better than Klaviyo. It's pretty awesome. I would say there's a lot of good options out there in the email space. OmniSend is another really good one. That's a little bit lower priced than Klaviyo and has many or if not all the same features. Very close. OmniSend is really good. Obviously, everybody's heard about MailChimp. MailChimp's been around forever. I don't know what they're doing. I haven't even looked at MailChimp in so long. And there's lots of other ones popping up, or there are also softwares that have some email built in, which is cool. I mean, that's a cool feature. But Klaviyo is really solid. Highly recommended. I mean, it's a great tool. And if you're just starting, you don't have an email list already, like you can get into Klaviyo for basically free. I mean, there's a free account. Yeah. You can jump in there, integrate your Shopify store and start, building your email list, create a pop-up, those kind of things. So Klaviyo is awesome.
Yeah, they also, last thing I'll say is that they integrate with a whole bunch of other apps and tools as well. Like I won't go down the rabbit hole, but like from a high level, like if you're using a loyalty program, if you're running Facebook ads, you can tie it. If you're collecting an email list, you can use Facebook and create a custom audience of that email list. It's straight from Klaviyo. Yeah. And they just have a whole list of apps that they automatically integrate. Looks, I'm pretty sure they integrate directly with Looks for reviews so that you can send emails straight from your Klaviyo account instead of through Looks. I mainly just use it for the email automation. That's what I love. So, all right. Well, is there anything else you wanted to say about email marketing? I think you mentioned the other kind of big, good names. Like those are the ones that I would have thought of. I've used OmniSend in the past. I went from Klaviyo, then over to OmniSend because it was cheaper, and then back to Klaviyo because it had features that OmniSend didn't have. But it seems like OmniSend does like kind of play catch up with Klaviyo. Yeah. Klaviyo's like cutting edge. They come out with the features and then everyone just kind of like copies them. So maybe OmniSend is at the same level again. I actually have no idea. I've been with Klaviyo for years, but
no, I'll just say something you mentioned. We need to keep moving, but something you mentioned that I just want to make sure people understand. There's some email platforms that are not built for e-commerce, for selling physical products. Klaviyo is 100% like they're really focused on physical products. So like for instance, for courses and digital things, I use ConvertKit for that side. I really like ConvertKit, but ConvertKit like is not at all for physical. I mean, they've tried to put in some features, but it's like they mainly focus on text. Like when you're writing an email, it's like text-based. It's not visual. So like it's great for that, for information, but like Klaviyo is like visual, right? Because when you're selling physical products, especially apparel, print on demand, it has to be visual. So anyways, let's keep going.
Cool. All right. Do you want to take the next one?
Yeah. So the next category here is SMS marketing. We put 3 on the list. We're gonna go through these pretty quickly, but Adrian, I'll let you take it on these first two.
Sure. Sure. So the first two, I've used both of these. They are Postscript and Attentive. So Postscript is an e-commerce SMS platform that enables brands to communicate and engage with customers through text messenger marketing. Attentive is very, very similar. Like honestly, I think both of these tools are awesome. I used to use Postscript and then I switched over to Attentive because I was able to negotiate a better deal. That's really
Nice.
it. That's it. And then when I would my contract, so one thing about Attentive that a lot of people may not know is that Attentive is always requires a contract. I was able to negotiate a 1 year commitment instead of multi-year, which I was okay with, even though I'd love to go month to month. And I was month to month with Postscript, but the deal was just so good with Attentive, and I knew I wasn't going to stop SMS marketing. So I went over to Attentive, and when my contract expired, I went back to Postscript, and when my contract was coming up for renewal, I went back to Postscript and said, "Hey, can you beat this deal that Attentive's giving me?" And they couldn't even come close.
Wow.
And I was like so disappointed. I was like, "Wow, this is a terrible deal. Like not even close." So, I do recommend that everyone, if you are looking at SMS platforms, these are like the top two in my opinion. These are like the two that are fighting for market share in the e-commerce space. So I recommend exploring them both and essentially seeing which one can give you the best deal, because they're both great. They both have awesome customer service. They both have great functionality. I feel like Attentive is maybe like a step ahead, but Postscript always quickly after comes out with like the same features. So really they're kind of like equal to me. I personally just go on price.
Yeah.
So yeah, Attentive, same thing, just like exact same thing as Postscript. I would say that they're probably the leader in SMS marketing. I think they have bigger clients, whereas Postscript gets a lot of the smaller businesses, but I could be wrong. That's just kind of like the impression I get. I was recommended Attentive by the owner of Pure Vita Bracelets, Griffin Thal,
Nice.
this is a massive, massive e-commerce brand, and they were using it. So I felt really good going with it on his kind of recommendation.
So I had used for a long time I'd used Cart Loop, which was great. But they changed up a bunch of stuff, and so I stopped using them, and I just use Klaviyo, which is good.
Yeah.
But another one I put on the list, just as kind of almost like an honorable mention, is called Engage SMS. It's spelled Ngagge. Kind of weird. There's a new player, but I did a review. I did a YouTube review on them and used them for a little bit, and I think they're great. Like I think what you mentioned is, or kind of to add to what you said, is these platforms like Attentive, Postscript. They're again, like we just said with email, they're dedicated SMS platforms and they're built for e-commerce again. So these are like Shopify apps. They're mainly thinking about how do we sell more physical products for you, or how do we create a system where you can sell more physical products via SMS. So there are, I guess, the big advantage to having it kind of all in one platform like Klaviyo is, number one, you can build automations that are really cool, right? Like you can say, if you're doing like Klaviyo for email and SMS both, you can do like, all right, after 1 hour, send an email, but then 30 minutes later, send an SMS. And that you can kind of like build out these flows, which is really cool in Klaviyo. And you can do SMS or email and to the same customer, right? Like it's all that information's in one, it all integrates. That's an advantage there. But again, advantage on the other side, if you have a dedicated platform, is it's just more optimized. There's better features for SMS because Klaviyo is an email platform, right? But they added SMS. So it's just, these are dedicated SMS platforms. Engage was really good. They have some introductory offers, because they're a newer company. But I really liked their app. It was very simple to use. I was pretty impressed just by how simple it was to set up. Like on the other hand, I think Klaviyo is kind of difficult to get SMS going. Like it's kind of, there's a lot of steps.
Okay. Yeah.
But like, a software like we're talking about seems to be a little bit easier to get going with if you're new to SMS.
Yeah, that's interesting hearing your perspective. First of all, I haven't heard of Engage. This is the first time I've ever heard of them. Secondly, Klaviyo is email first, and they're trying to make this SMS push. But what I heard from kind of through the grapevine, I didn't even really evaluate them, to be honest. What I heard through the grapevine is that they're just not the kings of SMS, and they're like SMS. they were email first, SMS second. I know now they're trying to make a push and really push that like seamless integration, which is actually a pretty awesome like USP, like, you know, an awesome differentiator. But I have not really checked out what it's like. So that's interesting to hear from you that they're like not the most maybe user friendly to like use their SMS.
The automations are phenomenal. I mean, like, being able to create an abandoned cart automation and see everything on one page with SMS and email, like, and be able to kind of work those together and some of the messaging and the discount codes and like, you know, you can work all it's pretty awesome. But, you know, I get what you're saying for sure.
Cool. Well, that was four different options for SMS marketing. Let's go to the next one, which is sales channels. So let's talk about sales channels. I use sales channels as a primary acquisition channel. And I personally think it's the best place to find traffic to get your products in front of. I've always used social media as long as I've been in this space, and I still use social media. I haven't found any better like acquisition channel for traffic than social media. I know there's other options out there, but this has always been the best in my opinion, both paid and organic. So I just wanted to list kind of like the top sales channels that I see other people using that I'm using myself. Those are Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, and Google, mainly Google Shopping. I don't even know if it's called Google Shopping anymore. They've been making some changes over at Google.
I put that one on there at the kind of the right before the episode.
Oh, okay. I was like, did I put Google Shopping on there?
I should put my name by it.
No, that's okay. That's totally cool. I think Google came out with, what's it called? They came out with a new feature, Google Plus or Google Advanced.
They're still Google Shopping. I mean, but
okay, they are.
That's another thing, but
yeah, I know that they've been Performance Max. That's one thing that they came out with recently. And I thought Performance Max, I don't actually know that much about it. I thought Performance Max was supposed to be like kind of a replacement for a lot of the Google products and have some more automation, making it a little bit easier for people. Because I think most sellers would agree that Google is probably one of the most complicated tools to work with.
Trying to get on Google Shopping is a freaking nightmare.
Oh, dude, Google Shopping, Google Analytics, Google, like they have so many different things. And I feel like Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and Pinterest, they make it really simple. Like they don't have a huge variety of options and you don't have to go in and do all this setup. A lot of it is very kind of automatic, which is what I like personally, because I'm not an overly techie person and I don't want to spend all my time doing like back end stuff to set something up. But
one thing I would mention is I think when we're talking about social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok mainly. I mean, you can do Pinterest ads, so we should probably include them in there. But Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, we're not just talking about paying for ads. We're talking about in general, these platforms are probably the best. So, you know, we're talking about influencer marketing, putting out content, building communities or groups, as well as buying ads. We think these are the best places to go. I think for me, I mean, Facebook ads. Facebook owns Instagram. Anybody who's not aware, Facebook owns Instagram. So you actually can run Facebook and Instagram ads from the same software called Facebook Ads Manager. Facebook and Instagram ads still to me are the best currently. A lot of people have a lot of success on TikTok ads, which is great. I still think Facebook and Instagram ads are the best still. And I'm not super familiar with Pinterest running ads on there or anything. I really haven't marketed there. And then Google Shopping, I put that on there just because I've had students that have had success with it. And it's kind of, if you get the right product and get it set up correctly, once you get through the setup, it can be a little bit of like set it and forget it, you know, like it can be really powerful just to have it listed in Google Shopping. Somebody puts in a keyword, your product comes up, they can buy it there, which is really cool. And I've had some students have made some considerable sales through Google Shopping. But one thing I would love for you to briefly mention, if you can, is I want you to talk about Instagram Shops and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
You've had some success there.
Yeah, so Instagram Shops is something that's working very, very well for us right now. And I'm always surprised that it's not talked about more. And I'm surprised that more people aren't using it. So Instagram Shops, for anyone who doesn't know, it's essentially where you can tag your products on Instagram, and people can purchase them from you in app. So this creates a completely seamless experience for the customer. They do not have to be directed over to your website to make a purchase, which creates some friction in the buying process. Instead, they can go, they can shop your catalog, they can see the specs, they can see everything, they can add to cart, and they can make a purchase all within the Instagram app without ever leaving, which is amazing. Like, the easier, you always want to make it as easy as possible for your customers to buy. So the easier you can make that buying process, the better. And I know, based on a recent Shopify report, that the number of customers buying in app has significantly increased over the years. And I mean, obviously that's in part to new products and new improvements on things like Facebook and Instagram shops. But this is something that we've had a lot of success on. We've run a lot of tests on it. We're still running a lot of tests on it. And I highly recommend trying to set it up. I mean, it's another sales channel for you. And I know eventually Facebook and Instagram plan on charging kind of like a processing fee when you make sales through the app, kind of a platform fee. But they keep postponing the date that they're going to start charging. It's free right now. Like, you can go post your products on Facebook and Instagram apps, and you make a sale and you don't pay anything to Facebook and Instagram. That will change eventually. Yeah. This is going to become a monetization stream for them, but it hasn't yet. I think it's pushed back now to June.
Take advantage while you can. Yeah.
Take advantage while you can. Yeah. Like, it's got pushed back multiple times, so maybe it will get pushed back again. But there are so many people, especially big businesses, who are not on there yet. And that means less competition for you. So I highly recommend trying it out for your business. You have nothing to lose. And what I notice is we get algorithmic favor. We get favoritism when we post our products and tag them on Instagram. Some of our posts will get 10x more engagement on a consistent basis on the posts where we tag a product. And it might not even be like the product itself. We might post like a quote, and then we'll tag one of our products to that quote, and we'll get 10x more engagement on that quote than we would on another quote that we didn't tag a product. So we always tag our products on quotes.
The algorithm's like, ooh, we're pushing these shops.
Totally. Like, they love early adopters. They favor early adopters. They want people to, they're very incentivized to get sellers using this feature because they're eventually going to monetize, and it's going to be a stream of income for them. Not only that, one thing I love about it is they can track the entire seller journey, which you can't do since iOS 14. It's gotten much, much more difficult. So generally, in short, iOS 14 came out, I think it was last year, and it just, like, it completely changed the landscape. Essentially, it doesn't allow you to track as well once someone leaves the platform. So as soon as someone is directed away from Facebook and Instagram to your website, Facebook and Instagram lose track of that customer and their journey. There are things, Shopify has kind of created an integration with Facebook and Instagram to help, but it's not as effective as it used to be. And this is one of Facebook and Instagram's solutions to that problem. If they can control the entire journey, they can see everything from what the customer looked at to what they added to cart, and then they can retarget them with similar products. And they have the entire process from first seeing the ad to making the purchase, which they don't have that same visibility when you take someone to your website. So hopefully I didn't go too far down the weeds there, but I am really big on Facebook and Instagram shops, and I highly recommend everyone give it a try. Just to reiterate kind of what Carrie said, I do use, like, there are different platforms that are good for different things, kind of better for different things. Like Facebook, for example, is great for private communities. That's a great place to build up your target audience, your avatar, and nurture that community, or to join communities that you can, that your ideal customer is congregating in.
Absolutely.
You can create them yourself, or you can join them. And a lot of times you can talk to the owners and see if you can create some sponsorship deal where you can promote products occasionally, things like that. So there's a lot you can do with them. I think Facebook is the best for that right now. Instagram is actually my primary acquisition channel. That is the social media channel that I use the most. TikTok, I know people who have had a lot of success on TikTok, mainly organic TikTok. I know some people have had paid success with the paid ads, but most people say that Facebook and Instagram dominates TikTok still in terms of paid ads. I could go on a rant about TikTok and the benefits of it being a content-based algorithm versus a social algorithm like Facebook and Instagram, but that'll be for a whole other episode.
Yeah.
So I will stop talking there, and you can say anything else, or we can move on to the last and final tool / marketplace that we recommend.
Yeah, the last one we have on here is I guess another sales channel, because you can't integrate your Shopify with it's Etsy it's a marketplace. So I think we both like Etsy as a sales channel or a place to sell. And it's 93% female. So that's something to think about, but it is one of the largest e-commerce platforms in the world. I mean, it's a great opportunity, and I think it's relatively easy. It seems like they're pretty friendly to print on demand.
Yes.
And so, most print on demands now, they integrate pretty easily with Etsy. And so it's just, to me, I'm always like, Shopify should be your home base because you need to control your marketing. You need to be able to own your customer data. You don't have any competition on your website. It's just you, right? When somebody's on your website, they're only looking at your products. Whereas on Etsy, they're going to be looking at all the bajillions of products there, being recommended things, all the different things. But I do think it can be a supplemental place that is really, really good to sell on. And there's really no reason why you shouldn't be on there if you're doing print on demand, because you can take the same product you have in your Shopify store, list it over on Etsy, and voila, you are in business. So I think Etsy's a great opportunity.
Yeah, Etsy's my favorite secondary kind of supplementary channel to Shopify. So all of what you said, like Shopify is owned real estate, Etsy's like rented or borrowed real estate. It's a marketplace where you could put your products on there, but they can terminate your account at any time. You don't get nearly as much data. But what's nice about it is if you just go with Etsy and print on demand, you can skip creating an online store and they drive traffic to their website. Yeah. There's pros and cons. I think we should create a whole other website of other pros and cons, a whole other episode on
Etsy versus Shopify.
Totally, man. Like this is such a contentious thing right now. You got like the hardcore Etsy and print on demand. You got the hardcore Shopify print on demand. I'm on the Shopify bandwagon, but I do use and love Etsy as a secondary channel. But we'll get in another episode, in a future episode, we'll explain why that's so important in more detail. But I definitely recommend that if you are on any marketplace for your brand, I would be on Etsy. That's where I think is the best.
In wrapping up this episode, I wanted to say, I just wanted to mention, if you're still listening at this point, thank you so much for listening. Like, you're amazing. You are the hardcore fan. And I wanted to mention that Adrian and I have been looking more at the actual amount of listens we're getting and what the different platforms look like. And you guys, we are just blown away. We're blown away. We're literally
gratitude.
Thank you so much. Like, if you're listening, watching this on YouTube, thank you so much. We cannot say that enough because we're only, I guess this is episode 12. 12 episodes in. We released
episode 15.
Oh, this is episode 15. I'm sorry. So, okay. So we're episode 15. So at this point, when we're recording this, but when you're listening to this, we're 15 episodes in.
Yeah.
Which is probably 3-ish months, somewhere around there. 3-ish months. We released 3 episodes on the first day. And we've been looking at more at the numbers and the analytics. Like, we're ranking in the top entrepreneurship podcasts in the United States.
Amazing.
We're beating podcasts from huge entrepreneurs, amazing entrepreneurs that I never thought we would. I didn't even think we would ever be on this chart, but we're like charting on these podcasts.
Crazy.
Things. It's wild. And when we look at the listens and the plays, like, it's literally going like this, like going up a mountain,
ending
like
up
a freaking rocket ship of like I'm shocked that it's growing so much because I didn't expect it. I thought we wouldn't have anybody listening for like the first year, and then maybe we'd get a little trickle. And it's just been like, I'm kind of blown away because I just wasn't expecting it. So I think we both just want to say a huge thank you to you for listening. And if you would, like, whatever platform you're listening on, help us continue the momentum by just leaving us a review, dropping us a comment on YouTube, hitting that subscribe button, wherever you're at. If you can just leave any kind of comment or review on the content, we would greatly appreciate it. And for you guys that have already done that, man, we can't say thank you enough. We're humbled. We're blown away. Thank you so much. It's been awesome. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Print on Demand Playbook podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and got value out of it, please leave us an honest review on whatever platform you are listening on. Spotify, Apple, Google, maybe on YouTube. Drop us a comment or leave us a review. It goes a long way in helping us grow this podcast and get more people listening. And we hope you have a great week. See you on the next one.